Not all volume is the same. It's not all the same. Oh, all right. Let's dive in, everybody. 22 miles into bank account. The aerobic bank account.
There it is. Nostalgia time. Oh, and it brings me back to the old studio. We'll break this chart down here in a minute. The poster board is back into studio. Okay. Question of the day. Actually, first, there's the run on your screen. Solid, crispy, beard frozen day out there in the tundra of Colorado. We're getting that volume in, aka mileage, aka kilometers, aka load. Okay. All right. So here we go. Question of the day. Tell us a good story in the comments about when your volume dovetailed nicely, maybe not perfectly, but nicely with your race day performance, where you just know, oh man, I didn't run too much, I didn't run too little with respect to the volume in your training in that training block for the race. All right, so there you go. All right, we've selected the distance, 13.1. We've selected the race, all right, Jersey City. We'll get to that chart in a minute. And then we talked about goals, all right? We talked about goals, the last vlog, upper right-hand corner for that. Now, for volume, mileage, load, whatever you want to call it, if you want a lot more detail, I'm talking a lot more detail, vlog from 4 years ago. I can't believe it. A lot of people still, it was in the old studio. A lot of people still watching that vlog from 4 years ago, upper right-hand corner. And I go into much, much, much more detail if you're just getting off the couch. If you're a sub-elite runner, what distance you're getting ready for, okay? So go check that vlog out from 4. It's a long one. I'm just warning you right now. And then the next vlog, we're going to talk about key workouts to include in your half marathon preparation. Okay, so what am I always saying? For a marathon, my standard, when people email me, send me a message on X or Instagram or wherever, I write back and they're like, Seth, what should my volume be at the peak for a marathon? I say 70 to 80. All right, that's kind of now again, all right, point I just remembered, experience level. Everything I'm about to share with you all comes down to how long you've been running and have you been staying healthy in the process of running for years and years and yes, decades and decades. So for a marathon, 70 to 80. For a half marathon, 60 to 70 miles per week. Okay, and now some people do it by bi-monthly, some people do it monthly, some people do it quarterly. I'm pretty standard, pretty old school. I just keep it simple with weekly volume, okay? So here we go. Questions to ask yourself. What's my peak volume going to be? How quickly am I going to ascend to that peak volume? How long am I going to hold the peak volume? Am I going to include an absorption week or a down week to absorb some of the training? And then how long is the taper? There you go. Those are the questions you just have to mull over and think about and reflect back on your old training logs. There's one way back there, and might as well just pull this out right now. There's a couple back there. I don't know if you can see the poster board from old training blocks. So here we go. Started at 50, week 2, 70, week 3, 90, week 4, 110, which is what we're doing right now. Okay, so this is, I guess I'll show you. Let me just back up here a little bit so you can see it. So this is weeks, volume in miles, April 13th, all right, 15-week training block. And okay, don't do this. Don't do this. At this point, after running for however many years, not quite 30, but we're not far off, 1997, I feel comfortable adding this amount of volume per week. And this is where you have to think about what's your race date going to be. This is why I didn't do some races in late March, because I didn't want to over rush the ascent, but also how long I'm going to hold my peak volume. Ideally 6 weeks. All right, that's what now, and also these dots on this chart is in right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. Those are in pencil because I might do a little alteration. And tip of the day, don't be afraid to have a range. If you say I want my peak volume to be 60 miles a week, give yourself a 55 to 65 range. If you're not feeling so hot, if you get sick, maybe you have a big test you need to cram for, I don't know what the case may be, Don't be afraid to give yourself a range in your volume. So that's why this is in pencil. But in an ideal world, I'm going to stick it at 110 miles per week for 6 weeks. And then there's a big old question mark there at week 10, because I don't know if that is when I'm going to begin an absorption week, where I'm going to absorb some of the training in week 10. My gut is saying yes, but we'll just see. Again, we'll just see how you're feeling. And another little insight is, how are you doing in the gym? It's going to hurt. It's going to be suffering. It's not going to be enjoyable as much compared to early. So now, the only reason I feel comfortable, again, going up 20 miles a week is because my muscles, I've proven to myself that my muscles, my ligaments, my tendons, my bones can sustain that type of training as a 39-year-old. One more point, and then we'll wrap it up, is that don't be afraid to go 60-60, 65-70, 70-70, 75-80, 80-80. So like you can stair step your ascent as well, depending again how high you want to go. And I've done it. You know what I've done in the past? I've gone, by 10 and then down 10 and then by 10 for 3 weeks and then down 10 and then for 10 for 3 weeks. And then I've done that as well. Again, it all depends on how long the training block is and just how your legs are feeling. And it's going to take time for you to understand what your body can handle and what your body cannot handle. And that's part of the fun of being a runner, is that you're not going to have all the answers put out on a plate, just with a snap of the finger. You gotta live in reality and experience it, absorb it, and listen to what your body's telling yourself. And then you can make adaptations, not just in that training block, but in future training blocks down the road. Jersey City Half Marathon, we're coming for you. Oh man, I got so many thoughts on that, but we'll talk about key workouts down the road. All right, we'll toss it to, of course, that big vlog from 4 years ago where I talk about how many miles a week you could consider running right there. All right, seek beauty, work hard, and love each other.